Entering the Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Week 6, Monday Night Football, prop draft, odds, and a look back at week number 6 on Sunday and Thursday. Conner Allen and Ryan Noonan are joining me live here on Mayo Media Network. So smash the like, share this around, sub to Mayo Media Network if you want to participate in the chat that is going on right now. Fellas, well, Noonan, I was talking to you about this before the show. Hunter Long and your main man, Gunnar Helm, ruined my Sunday.
Yeah, my wife thought I was a psychopath for a moment because I don't know if anyone was watching that game, and there was only 3, and they weren't necessarily highly entertaining late games. But on like the final attempt of the game, Cam Ward drops back to pass, taking the ball back, and on just going back, drops the ball. No pressure. Clearly going to be a dump down to Gunnar Helm, who was wide open, may not have caught the ball, but it would have been only his 3rd target of the game anyway. Could have really used that yesterday in the afternoon, but hey, no more bad quarterbacks, Pat. Like if we try to do it, I don't know what we got going on today. I got to think through this a little bit, but I keep attaching, I think, well-researched props to the Justin Fields and Cam Wards of the world, and I just can't do it anymore. I got to get out of this.
Conner, I feel like Sunday would have been especially good for you and your love of unders.
Oh, it was. I mean, Justin Fields under 197.5 was maybe the best, my favorite play ever. It was like the best hate watch of all time. I mean, it was truly incredible, start to finish, complete garbage. I mean, it was awesome. I was so excited.
I sent you guys some notes here for a recap of what we should be talking about. And the first one I had up was Tua, who called out his team after the game. We briefly discussed this at the end of Sunday Night Live last night, but we were just kind of seeing it in real time. So I went back and I watched the video. So he was mad at players for not showing up to players-only meetings, which I'm pretty sure he's in charge of. So does that mean that Tua is calling himself out on this? I didn't quite understand what he was getting at.
It should be him, right? Like and Mike McDaniel came out after and said, everything that I'm in charge of, everything that I've asked the players to do, they're stepping up, and we've had no issues with attendance or delinquencies and tardiness. So it's on the player. You would think typically it's a captain or the quarterback or things like that. And then people that have been part of Tua-led teams in the past have come out of the woodwork to call him out on, hey, you've been late, or that's on you. And it's not really going really well. Again, like I've touched on this a few times, the vibes in Miami are not down very often. But they are about as down as you could possibly be right now, and it does not look good for Coach McDaniel there or Tua.
So there was a quote from Deshaun Hamilton, Conner, and this is what Noonan is referencing. He said, as it pertains to Tua, quote, "This dude, the starting QB, was late to the first team meeting during my 3 seconds on the Dolphins, and everything was cool in there." So maybe dysfunction from the top down.
Yeah, I also don't think that the team respects him very much. I mean, I don't really think he's done a whole lot lately to deserve that, but it seems like there's just a lack of leadership. Like Mike McDaniel's not really a leader of men type of coach anyways. And so I think that's kind of led to some problems with the players. Like if players aren't showing up to players only meetings or showing up late, I mean, that's again, just a lack of respect for whoever's running it, which is Tua. So
what's being said in the Tuanon meetings, Conner? You've been a Tuanon supporter from the jump. What's happening? Are we into monthly meetings now instead of weekly meetings, or are we doing daily check-ins because things are kind of dicey?
The deep state pulled it. So Tuanon is over. It just ended. So it's a major problem. And that's probably why actually it's what led to the concussions. It's what led to all this. So we're in a tough spot here with Tuanon. Maybe we got to start it up again because it can't get any worse in Miami right now.
Yeah.
Oh, you say that. They could be the Jets.
That's true, actually. I'm a proud Jets worst record ticket holder, and I'm very excited for this.
That was the most insane end of a half that I've ever seen in my life. I rewatched it this morning because I was so it's Sunday morning. We're doing a bunch of other things, trying to get some props and inactives and stuff. And Conner and I go live, so I'm just trying to prep games on. I'm watching it and sweating my Isaiah Davis 7.5 receiving yards prop like a moron, and then. They ran a fake punt with the intention, right? That tells you that all right, we're really trying to do something here, right? So there's some sort of idea, there's some sort of plan. Someone seems to be in charge. And then clearly just sit on the ball for the final like 35 seconds, not wanting to run a play after running multiple like dives. Like, what are you doing? Like, it was absolutely, I had no idea if they just changed up. I don't know. I can't fathom what happened there. So I didn't hear anything from, beat reporters or anything asking about that on press conference after, but I would love to know the mindset of, yeah, we want to like foot on the gas. We're going to like fake a punt and we're going to like try to do something here. And it's like, yeah, you know what? Let's just let the game clock run out. Let's go to half. You're in midfield. It was asinine. I have no idea what happened.
Connor, do you think that was worse or not attempting the field goal at the end? Like, you weren't going to get any yards, so why even go for it on fourth down? Try the highly improbable field goal, and maybe you win the game.
I think the field goal might be worse. Like that halftime stuff was brutal. Like, I mean, that was really bad, but like, we're talking about like you win or lose the game on this play basically. And instead of that, they just let Fields drop back and get, wrecked per usual, looked around, looked lost, held onto the ball too long, had no idea where any of his receivers were. And so, just took a sack. At least let the guy go out there and try a super long field goal. And maybe you somehow win after playing like, the worst offensive performance that I can remember in a while. I mean, it was pathetic. So yeah, I would go with the field goal, honestly. I wonder, I don't know if we want to get into first coach fired yet, but like, I don't know if because he's new, Aaron Glenn can be like fired this quickly. But I think it's possible that he gets fired this year. I just don't know if he's going to be the first one.
Well, after the game, Noonan, there was a quote from Aaron Glenn about this specific situation. To quote Aaron Glenn, part of the reason that we went to halftime without running a play was to avoid confusion after the refs were unclear initially on if they'd gotten a first down or not.
Oh, it's really nice of them. I'm sure the refs slept lovely. Thank goodness they didn't do anything that would have made me more confused about what happened. And look, I agree. Like, the end of the game stuff always is magnified because it's literally the end of the game. But if like they would have attempted to use the last minute and a half to put themselves in field goal position, then score and time is different in the fourth quarter and you can make different decisions. So like, they're both egregious. I'm worried. Like, I don't think he gets fired. I think that there's like, this is a former Jet that was, part of the team, that they had some good runs there with the Parcells years. Like, Aaron Glenn was a part of that. He was a desired candidate. He's one of theirs. I think there's probably, I think it'd be easier. And then we saw it last year with the Patriots with Mayo, former Patriots, who was, dubbed to be the guy. And thankfully they pulled the cord there quickly. So I don't think Connor's wrong, but I think the Jets probably really want to just say, like, let's make a quarterback change, see what happens there. And I think maybe Aaron Glenn gets another year would be kind of where I would lean.
So were you guys able to find updated first coach fired odds? Because I only have what it was from last week and nothing is updated on Monday morning yet. Did you guys scour the internet and find anything?
I didn't see anything this morning. I was looking.
So here's what they were entering last week. Ryan Callahan was the favorite at -125. Mike McDaniel was +105. Dayball was 3-1. Doubt he would be 3-1 today after beating the Eagles, but we'll see. Jonathan Gannon, 8-1. Stefanski, 18-1. And Aaron Glenn was all the way down at 33-1. The Stefanski thing is really interesting. And I think that I've heard rumors that this is why we're not seeing this market populate, that the Browns are considering firing Kevin Stefanski, which would be the most, I wouldn't say it's the most idiotic Browns move of all time because they have a whole litany of really idiotic moves, but a 2-time coach of the year. And the only thing that you've ever done to help this guy was take away the one good quarterback he ever had that he went to the playoffs with and won a game with.
I agree. But I also think, I don't know what you thought of the game plan. I don't know how you roll into Pittsburgh and drop back 53 times, 56 times, or whatever they did there. You had like 10 carries for Quinshon Jenkins, who they've been leaning on very heavily, even in like poor game script. Their decision was, we had lost Jack Conklin in the middle of the game. You had already lost, DeJuan Jones coming into so your offensive line is beat up. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to spread it out and we're going to lean on Dylan Gabriel here against Nick Herbig, TJ Watt, and Alex Highsmith. And we're going to just have our second start quarterback win the football game for us. So it was a pretty egregious game plan from Stefanski. Now, he should not be fired in any way, shape, or form, but I have no idea what they were doing in that game. It was just fascinating. And the game wasn't like just trailing game script the whole time. It got out of hand late in the fourth, but that game was kind of within a score plus for, the majority of the football game. So it was really, really weird game plan from Stefanski.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand what the hell was going on there. The one way you're going to beat Pittsburgh is going to be on the ground. You have what's looking to be one of the better running backs in the league right now in his like fifth game. Just feed the dude the ball, Connor.
Yeah, I mean, and plus we have Gabriel taking 6 sacks. Like, I mean, that's just tough. When you drop back that many times, like whatever, 60 times basically. And it seemed to me like they were making a change here, like in the last couple of weeks of like, okay, we're not going to let Flacco throw. We're going to let, and then Gabriel comes in, like, we're going to just keep feeding Judkins, go that way. It's not like Judkins was particularly efficient, but it seemed like they had some semblance of a game plan of like, all right, we're just going to rely on this guy. And then hopefully we end up, being efficient eventually. I don't know what they thought was going to happen here. Maybe they thought that Pittsburgh secondary was exploitable, but clearly not with what Dylan Gabriel did, because that was not great.
So of the odds that I just gave you, I would guess that I don't think that Aaron Glenn is going to get fired, but 33-1 is a pretty juicy number.
I think he would need like an Urban Meyer kind of like turning point moment of like not taking the team flight home, or like, I don't know, just doing something a little wild, gets caught at a bar, with some shenanigans there. So like, I think that's probably what it would take for him to get like push them over the edge. Because if you're bad and you're doing that, then it's really a problem. But like, they do seem to like him. So I don't know, maybe McDaniel is probably a better look if they keep losing, even though I don't think he's necessarily a bad like offensive coach. I just think he's not necessarily a great leader of men. And I think that's reflected by all the comments we're seeing.
Well, what is it with I hear this a lot, that he's not a leader of men things. It's because he's like a little dude. Is that why?
I mean, it's like, do you think he's like a leader? Like, I mean, I don't know. Where was your last like corporate job? I don't know when, Pat, I don't know how long ago that was.
I've never had a corporate job. This has been basically the only real job that I've ever had in my entire life.
Well, that's incredible. But no, I think that there's
how
certain
rich,
people have like characteristics and are able to, I don't know, they're leaders. Like there's different ways that you like interact with people and you talk with people. And especially in like team sports perspectives, like certain coaches, I think, are significantly better than others at being leaders. Now, maybe the leader of men thing is definitely a little, I don't know, cliche, I guess, at this point. But I do think that certain coaches are significantly better leaders than others. And that's reflected in, like, I don't know, the Urban Meyers of the world. And I don't even think Aaron Glenn is like necessarily a bad leader. I just don't think he's a good coach because like I don't know, he just might not know ball. Like that's what it seems like so far.
Would you rather have the leader of men, Noonan, or the guy that actually knows how to coach football?
I think there's something to be said for both. There's a lot of like, I don't know. We just don't know. Like we're not in the locker room. I get like the perception of Mike McDaniel as, kind of a schematic, wizard. And I think someone's going to get a really good offensive coordinator out of this. There does seem to be like, you can surround yourself with a really good staff. If that's not your strength, like that to me is leadership. If that's not where you thrive, you're not going to be the rah-rah guy, or you're not going to be like the Dan Campbell pound the table type of former player type of vibe. Surround yourself with really good guys that can do that for you too. So, I mean, whatever's going on in Miami, it's a problem. Chris Greer has been a part of this problem for a very long time. Dolphins fans would know that. They've not won a playoff game in roughly 25 years. He's been the general manager for the entire time, right? He's shopping for the groceries, as Parcells would say back in the day. So, like, that guy has insane job security. So that makes me a little reluctant with the McDaniel stuff, but it seems to be like he's the guy in pocket for Ross and the ownership group, and they just kind of keep changing at the top of the head coach spot. So I think they need a entire start over in Miami. That would be where I would go, even though the odds are very short. Again, he's, I think probably still plus money. I think Brian Callahan is not, Father Callahan from, the auto parts store. There's some stuff going on there. The Tommy Boy references, I think, make a ton of sense. Just a lot of garbage going on there. But again, I think he gets a little bit of a little leeway too. So I would go Miami first coach fired here.
Yeah, I think it is going to be McDaniel if I had to bet one of these, Connor.
Yeah, I think that's probably the move. I think Callahan is a little bit more of a leash. Like, I don't know, as you're working through everything, like it's tough to fire him, I think, right away. But yeah, it's like McDaniel's had kind of his chance, his ups, his downs. And when you go there, I think it's an easier decision to fire. Like you're kind of on the tail end of a career or like head coaching job here, it seems like, unless they turn things around drastically quickly, which I just don't even see a path to that right now. Like with their roster build, like their O-line sucks, their defense sucks. Like Tyreek's, injured forever and was a problem before. So like, and Tua's just, constantly a problem at this point. So there's so many problems with this team that like, I think you almost need kind of some kind of rebuild here.
It's funny too, because we spoke about this at the time that, listen, I like Tua enough. There is zero chance I would have given him that contract. Like, tying yourself to Tua was a death knell for everyone involved. He's good, but he'd be a great backup quarterback is what he would be.
Yeah, I like it. That's the problem is you get these like mid quarterbacks, like the Purdy's and like the Tuas and stuff. And
I don't think that's a fair comp. I think that Purdy, like, if you're trying to project out, could you win with this quarterback? Maybe Tua would need to be in a San Francisco system like Purdy and have that infrastructure around him. I would rather have Purdy, like, to try to win something. I think Purdy, did he make the Super Bowl or did he lose in the NFC champion? He got hurt in the NFC championship game. Like, guy's been close before. Like, we haven't seen Tua. They've had some like good offenses for like 6 weeks at a time, but that's really been it.
Yeah, and it's not a direct comp. I would definitely prefer Purdy too. It's just like those like quarterbacks who are not elite, who are kind of in that range of like teams like, well, do you pay him? Do you not pay him? Like, what do you do? Because there are certainly worse options than Tua. There's worse options than a lot of these guys, but he's like probably not going to push you over the edge. Like, I mean, the 49ers are a great conversation right now. They're like beat to absolute crap right at this point. The whole team is injured. Like, can Purdy come back and lead this team to an NFC championship game? Maybe big playoffs because their schedule is so light. But I mean, there's no way that this team is going to win a Super Bowl given like half of their defense is injured, all of their offense is injured. I mean, it's kind of like it's pretty tough scenes for them at this point. So, I mean, Goff was in that conversation a couple of years ago, right? It was like, do you pay him? Do you not pay him? Went through that whole loop too. But if you have good surroundings, I think you can make it happen.
And that worked out really well. Plus, the one thing that they really invested in, Ryan, in Detroit was just a great offensive line to keep him upright. And that really paid huge dividends. And we're seeing that even for someone like Geno. Like, Geno is not as bad as he looks currently. The dude has no time to throw the ball. He's just panicking the moment he gets it. And he has to panic because guys are directly in his face. Like, Genty's starting to overcome it a little bit. But the amount of times he gets hit 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, like, all right, like, what do you expect the guy to do with this? And that's been a problem with Tua basically the entire time that he's been in Miami too, is he hasn't had an offensive line. So maybe he can be a reclamation project. But I'd throw it to you that almost every single time that if you have the question of should we pay the guy or not, if that's a question you have to ask, don't pay the guy.
It's so hard because it's the one thing, especially in all sports. If you don't have it, you don't have it. So I agree. You do these bridge, you just don't see these like little smaller deals. It's always like, oh yeah, he's due and he's the guy. So I guess we have to give him the max, because if we're right in year 3, 4, 5, we're actually going to be below market value on the guy. Well, you know what? You're not even sure that you're right, though. I agree with you. Like,
if the guy, let's say you give him the dinky 2-year deal and he turns out to be great, you'd be happy to pay a great quarterback $55 million.
Yeah, or just utilize the system, which sucks for the player, but like just take advantage of the franchise tags for as long as you possibly can. And yeah, it's out of market and warped for that singular year, because you have to pay him like, he's top 5 or 6 of the position, but you're not tying yourself down long-term. So just not enough teams seem to do that. They seem to just kind of go all in and tie themselves to the guy, because if you are in, purgatory at quarterback, you have no shot. You can have a great roster. We saw it with Denver for a couple of years. Like, they had a pretty good roster, but they just didn't have the answer at quarterback. If you're just kind of in that no man's land, then the way you are. That your best case scenario is probably 9-8, maybe 8-9. So at least you kind of have, they've seen glimpses of positive Tua when he's healthy, when he has a decent offensive line. They get the ball out so quick. Some of the good Mike McDaniel stuff that people liked. So yeah, it was a problem, and not enough teams do that. Now they're tied to a really, really bad quarterback contract, but they haven't won a playoff game since 2000. Connor wasn't even in kindergarten yet, and they hadn't won a playoff game. And the guy who's still making the decisions for the roster is still in charge. That's bigger than Mike McDaniel and Tua.
And I think that's part of the problem too, is like the misalignment.
I lost his audio.
You looked impassioned.
I'm yelling. Like, you can see my passion to the thing. I think part of the problem is the misalignment.
But now it's picking up different audio too.
Yeah, you changed your microphone, pal. It got clicked off for you. You blew it. That ain't no way to live. Thumbs down for Connor. So I'm going to throw this back again. So Connor, we can keep talking about, or Ryan, we can keep talking about this. The Daniel Jones deal, weirdly, in retrospect, that the Giants gave him was sort of the right deal, that 4-year deal that was basically a 2-year deal that everyone got like panicked about at the time. That, that way you get, it sucks because he sucks. And there's always the biggest fear, especially if you're a GM. Like if you get rid of Tua, your team is going to be worse because you're not going to find a quarterback who's better than him right away. But the goal would be to find a better quarterback long term, so you could just have that guy for a while. And no one wants to bite that bullet. It's like, oh, we're right around it. Like you said, we're 8-9, we're 9-8. It's like that's like the ceiling of what you're going to do.
It's the worst place to be, too, right? Like you're not actually putting yourself in a spot where you have the draft capital to like leverage that and take advantage of the swing. And you also don't feel obligated to take the swing. And that's the thing, too, right? And you tie yourself into it. And at least the Giants were able to be like, yeah, you know what? This is a sunk cost. We need to get out of this as quickly as possible. We see the ceiling on Daniel Jones, and maybe they were wrong. But at least they were able to move off of it, and they feel like that was kind of a win-win, right? Jackson Dart seems like maybe he could be something for the future. And then Daniel Jones goes and lands in a better system, better supporting cast, and offensive line, right? So we continue to go to the supporting cast being a bigger piece of it. And that really what I think matters in Miami.
So some injuries from some pretty notable injuries, actually, from Sunday. What do we got here? We got Puka is probably not going to play this week in London. Then the Rams go on bye. So he's probably out at least 2 weeks. We'll see if he ends up going on injured reserve with this ankle injury. Egbuka has a hamstring injury. Anyone who has a hamstring injury that couldn't finish a game probably is going to miss significant time, like 2-3 weeks. We're seeing Mike Evans deal with this right now. He's going into week 4 or 5, I think, of this hamstring injury. Granted, he's older. I would expect Egbuka to come back a little bit more, but they have like no one left on offense because Godwin's going to miss time. We don't know if Evans is back. Egbuka is out. You got Bo Nix's brother from another mother as their like number 1 receiver right now. Kate Otton's doing a ton of work. Bucky might not be back yet still they continue to win. Marvin Harrison has a concussion. Calvin Ridley left that game. Garrett Wilson is hurt. That was kind of the under talked about thing from that Jets game after everyone was just kind of pointing and laughing at how inept the Jets are, that Garrett Wilson hurt his knee in that game and might be out for a bit. He might be fine because we're not getting any sort of news about it, but he's going for an MRI as soon as they get back. Imagine if they didn't have Garrett Wilson. I know it's bad now, but think about that.
We're going to have to find it. And then they play your Browns. So, I mean, it is going to be absolutely insane. Connor is going to find a way to bet the under on some of this, but like he feels going to be lined to like 129.5 against the Browns without Garrett Wilson.
It'll be like 150, 160s. Like the lowest that we see is like, I think there was like, what was it, Malik Willis line that I think was like $140, something like that. And I think he ended up going over that time. But yeah, I mean, it'll be like 150, 160, I bet. I mean, it gets the Browns though. I don't know. Still could some juice on the under there. A little bit of meat on the bone.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. I think it'd be a great play. Without Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Pat, like what are we talking about?
Josh Reynolds.
Reynolds.
I somehow found the one over that hit during that game. I bet the under on Josh Reynolds 23.5 yards. He had 25.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Disastrous.
He only threw for 45 yards.
Yeah. Half of them were to Josh Reynolds, as it turned out. Lamar is on bye this week. He is expected to return coming off of said bye week, and a lot of the defense is expected to come back too. So I've really wanted to bet the Ravens to win the AFC North, but looking at the odds today, I know I sent this to you. The Ravens are still plus 140 to win the division. I don't want to bet them at plus 140. I was hoping for like a 3-1, but no, everyone's in tune with this, I think.
Well, they were the favorites heading into the week too. Still, they're favored. They're going to be favored in every game for the rest of the way. Coming off of the bye, like you said, none of their. When you look at like San Francisco and some of the other teams, some of the injuries, like those guys are down bad. Like Bosa's not coming back, Fred Warner's not coming back. They'll get their receivers back, but like everyone's coming back for Baltimore, and it's a very, very, very winnable stretch. And I get it. I'm kind of with you. Like I wish the price was a little bit longer, but like. I kind of don't believe in the Steelers. The Browns and the Bengals are really no threat, I don't think, to win the division. So I don't think I'm stepping out there. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the schedule here coming out of the bye, they, Chicago, Miami, Minnesota, Cleveland, the Jets, they have both games still on the docket with Pittsburgh. Those are going to be really impactful. So it's a really good spot for the Ravens, especially if you assume, everyone's kind of coming back in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, unfortunately, I hate the price, Connor.
Yeah, I'm seeing some plus 180, but a little bit better odds. Would you want 2-1 or better? Probably.
I probably want 3-1 or better, which I'm just not going to get. Although Pittsburgh plays Thursday night against the Bengals in a game they're favored to win by a bunch, that if they win that, maybe it drops a little bit more because it's just another win for Pittsburgh. But at some point, the don't pass line against the Ravens ends up becoming the play. I know my buddy Paul bet it. He was talking about it on the live show that we did. We're doing live shows, by the way, on Sunday morning for the first 90 minutes of Red Zone up until the half of the first games. Come hang with us there. You can watch Red Zone with us on playback.tv. And we're streaming it on YouTube as well. If you just want someone to watch Red Zone with or watch the games with, and you're just sitting there by yourself, come hang with Cust and I and whoever else might be in the room. But Paul was there one day. He bet the Ravens, plus I think 485 to miss the playoffs. I think that both bets could be correct because just because they're getting everyone back for week 8 doesn't mean they're going to have everyone by week 10 again. Like one more injury and they're probably cooked anyway. That's why I wanted the longer odds.
Yeah, they have to go on a tear, right? Like it's like they should. I mean, the schedule looks like they should. They're getting Lamar back, which obviously matters a ton. But I mean, Zay Flowers was dinged up supposedly coming into the game. Derrick Henry finally played well, but the defense is still pretty beat up. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to still be somewhat of an uphill battle, I think.
The challenge is the Pittsburgh schedule, Pat. The Pittsburgh schedule, right? It's kind of a 2-team race here. Pittsburgh has the game against Cincinnati, and then they're favored 2 more times for the rest of the season. They have a tough stretch. So, and again, they have the 2 against Baltimore, and those are going to be really, really impactful here. So, they still have to go. They have the Chargers, they got Buffalo, they got to go to Detroit. So it's kind of a tougher stretch for Pittsburgh too. So I get it. I would love, 250, 3-1 as well, but you may be able to play it right because we don't have a Ravens game. The Ravens cannot win a football game this week. They were on bye. We know that the Steelers matchup against the Bengals is very favorable. So you could have just another scenario where they, gain another bit in the schedule in terms of, where they sit. So, probably playing on Friday or Saturday if you can.
I've heard a lot of really bizarre conjecture about the MVP odds as they are currently situated, Connor, that people just cannot fathom that Baker is not the front runner for MVP. Would you like to explain to people how future odds work?
Yeah, so you don't win today. Like that's not how this works. He's got to play the rest of the season. And now we got Ibuka injured. Godwin, I don't even know, didn't play. Who knows what his deal is, kind of came back a little early. Evans out indefinitely. So you're talking about him throwing to Cade Otton. I mean, Sterling Shepard, Tez Johnson. They have another Johnson too that I didn't know about until he caught a touchdown today. And so if Baker can keep doing this, yes, he should be the MVP, but I'm quite skeptical that that's going to be the case, to be honest.
Yeah, see, that's the entire thing here. They're projecting out how this is going to go for the 18 weeks of the season. If I was to give an MVP today, right, I would give it to Baker Mayfield. He has been the MVP so far, but there's something about it that feels such smoke and mirrors, like he just can't keep getting away with this.
Probably. We thought this too. This is just another guy that continually, year in and year out, flips offensive coordinators. Look at the bozos we're talking about. It doesn't matter. He's kind of getting it done. He's lost, again, Bucky's out, all the guys that we would expect. And then look at what they do at the end of the year. They're like week 13 to 18, Arizona, New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, Miami, Carolina is how he finishes the season. So
yeah, their tough stretch starts this week for them. They have the Lions, the Pats, the Bills, and the Rams for their next 5 games. Like if they come out of that 3-2 or 4-1, then yeah, Baker, your bet on plus 425, or if you picked it up like a few weeks ago at 20-1, then yeah, that was a good bet because that was well within the outcomes based on the schedule and how they've been doing. But I don't know, like Josh Allen and Mahomes are still ahead of him. I think that they would just have to be the 1 seed by so much to give it to Baker at this point. In the face of some of these other guys not like Mahomes he's not going to have the 5,000 yards passing, but it'll probably be the 2nd best statistical season of his lifetime. And it doesn't matter how he played in September. It's going to matter how he plays in December. And if he plays well, then it might just be Mahomes.
And he's getting Xavier or Rashee Rice back next week. And like Xavier Worthy, I think is still kind of like he'll get healthier. He's still a little bit hobbled. So yeah, I mean, he's going to keep crushing. Like Rashee Rice unlocks this offense, I think, in so many extra ways too, which is pretty scary to think about. So I think that this could be, it could be a massive, massive Mahomes year down the stretch.
Was there any long shot MVP guy that you were looking at, Noonan, that could still be in the running here?
I know you're going to say.
Is he even a long shot at this point? I'm so sorry, guys.
25-1.
I hate this for you guys, but Drake May is cooking right now.
25 to 1.
25 to 1 is just, it's short. The schedule is so soft. They're going to the playoffs. They're probably 10-6, 11-5. It's a tough go. So I'm not going to cape up for Drake May. He's playing some damn good football, getting it done. 25 is down the board a little bit. I just think the actual pool of potential winners when you're dealing with the Allens and Mahomes of the world who are just not going to slow down. I mean, who else also has a fantastic schedule? Josh Allen. The Bills' schedule is so soft.
Yeah.
So
it's like the same schedule. There was one guy that I was looking at. He is 22 to 1 right now, and we have not seen any of the best of him at all. But the team has a pretty good record. I think that they're not quite favorites to win their division yet. But if they ended up winning their division, if Jaden Daniels just comes back and plays like Jaden Daniels last year, he might be the MVP. Because Washington would have beat Philly in the division. Yeah. They end up with like a 1 or 2 seed. Now, Baker obviously at the current point would get it over him. This projects that Baker plays a little bit worse. The Bucs lose a few games, and Washington kind of elevates based on the back of Jaden Daniels. But if they end up like 13-4 or something like that, he's probably the MVP.
I don't hate it because I think that defense is a little bit of smoke and mirrors still. And so if they are going to get it done, it's going to be in scenarios where they're having to win shootouts and get into, the low 30s to win some of these football games down the stretch. So he's going to have a huge part of that. So I don't hate that at all.
The other one would be, and this is kind of crazy, and maybe this is where I get my money down, but he may have missed too much time to make this relevant, Connor. Lamar is 30 to 1. That if they do run the table and come back and win this division and the season is saved the moment he gets healthy, I think everyone would just be like, yeah, he was the MVP.
Right, exactly. I mean, if he just balls out, it's possible. I think that's probably a good look there. Like it's the long shot that I think actually could make some sense. Again, you probably need Josh Allen to not be that good, or maybe James Cook just have like a career year or something like that, like we saw with, the Jalen Hurts, Saquon stuff, something like that. But yeah, I think Lamar and Jaden, some 35s out there. Starts today. So I mean, this is like, obviously have a game tonight. I think betting it now, if they beat the Bears, the odds are going to go up, especially if you have like Terry McLaurin out, some of those other guys. So if he wins today, he's in a good spot.
I thought the offensive rookie of the year market was kind of interesting too, because of this Egbuka injury, he's dropped to the co-favorite with Jackson Dart, and they're plus 175. And Tyler Warren's still 6 to 1. Tyler Warren seems like a really good bet here. He's been awesome.
Yep, I'm in. I mean, I've been keeping up for him basically every week in this market. He's awesome. He led 30% target share last week. Dude's just different. He's a playmaker on one of the best teams in the league right now in the Colts. Record wise. And I'm in that 6 to 1 on Warren. I think is a good value. Like Dart is fun. They've won 2 games. I just don't think that they're going to win that many games going forward. Like he's getting all the hype right now, but when they lose like 7 of their next 8 games, like I just don't think that's going to be, he's going to be anywhere near the favorite anymore.
Anthony in the chat has a good point that the path for Drake May MVP is beating the Bills and winning the division. That would be the path, but we also have to, you're a Patriots fan, Ryan. They could lose any of these games. Like they could have that Saints game outside of they got the wonky call. What's that?
Let's just stop shaking your head, Connor.
They could have easily lost that game. Saints had the ball.
They had
they could, okay, put it this way. They could have easily lost the game, but that game was a game as well. And this keeps happening to the Bills. That's why the Bills aren't like an overwhelming favorite anymore at this point. But you expect, based on their track record, the Bills to get their act together a little bit, just based on what we've seen over the past half decade with the Patriots. It just feels like they're going to lose some of these stupid games, like 1 or 2 of them.
They had over 100 yards and a touchdown taken off the board for the most phantom offensive pass interference call.
Maybe don't cheat.
Yeah.
It's not their MO. It's not their MO. You got to lean into what you do well. So, look, it's fair. They're unproven. Still, a quarterback in his second year. They were a little thin defensively. They were missing, 3 key contributors yesterday. Still played some really good football. They have no running game to speak of. No one did anything, and Drake had to put it on his back and got it done. So, look, they're still not, I don't think, a true contender, but they're ascending. And we've seen this. We saw last year with Washington, when you have a quarterback who's just kind of playing out of his mind, they can kind of take you places that you didn't expect to go. So that would be the path for Drake May to win MVP. I think we're a year away, maybe. I think he definitely could be in the conversation next year. Get another offseason where they retool a little bit, get some better supporting cast. I like the Vrabel situation. I like Josh McDaniels there as the OC. But yeah, I mean, look, you said like Buffalo is not like the schedule's easy, but they're kind of playing with their food a little bit too. They don't seem like a completely dominant team or a situation where they're going to probably run into a really hot Baltimore team in the playoffs or Kansas City again. And they're going to have to answer the bell, and they haven't been able to do that yet. So that's the case for Drake. I can't do it at 25. Part of it too, Pat, is like my brain from betting outrights. We're looking like down the board for MVPs at like 25-1. Like that's still pretty expensive. I want a real down the board play. And those guys actually just don't have a chance to win MVP.
No, and you have to base this is still a narrative award when it comes down to it. Because that was a question in the chat. Is there like voter fatigue with some of these guys? Because Allen won it last year, does that mean he's not going to win it this year? Weirdly, it's the history of the MVP award that they like kind of giving it to guys in back-to-back years. It's like once you win two, they're like, all right, like we'll take some time off from winning the award. There is that bias that goes into it because it's still voted on by a bunch of writers. Like the Patriots should be 6-0 right now. They should have beat the Raiders week 1. They should have beat the Steelers if they just don't fumble 5 times. And if they go out and they beat the Bills on the field because the Bills play like absolute crap. But if you came back here in a month and told me it's like, oh, they got by the Browns in a 10-9 game, then they lost to the Falcons and Bucks. It's like, oh yeah, that actually makes a ton of sense.
No shot. Vrabel going down to Tennessee this weekend.
That feels like a win.
Yeah, 3 straight road games though. Scheduling is not a great spot to be, but like they're not going to be where the thought would be like you're just maybe not as dialed in. There's no shot that team is not dialed up for their guy going into Tennessee who he wants to shove it down their throat. And that's a horrible football team. So that's not the spot. The Tampa Bay game is going to be a big one. That's a tough one. That could be another spot. I see someone in the chat mention that too. That's a good spot for leverage for Drake May in the MVP discussion, right? He's actually maybe in that scenario knocking Baker down a little bit too, down a rung. So, again, it's kind of still thin to me. Pro Pats though, we're looking at, probably at least 11 wins here. We're going to the playoffs. Feels good.
For sure. But it does get accounted for that if the schedule wasn't the toughest. And then I take a look at someone like Sam Darnold, who's playing good football right now at 50-1. And this is where the bias comes in and where the narrative comes in, Connor, is that people are happy that Sam Darnold is playing well because he is playing really well, but he kind of suffers from Jared Goff syndrome where all the credit is going to everyone else on the team.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba is like lighting the world on fire right now.
And like Mike McDonald's defense, like, Seattle's awesome.
Yeah, it's like, it's a supporting cast. He's got, good players. I think it's to a lesser extent the Jared Goff of like, having like Ben Johnson and like, 2 great running backs and elite offensive line. Like, but I think there is still some of that there that he's getting some credit, but not enough to like for the narrative to overcome kind of like what's going on.
Yeah, and I think that's where it hurts him. That's why you see people separate at the top of the board. Like Stafford's 15-1. I just don't see that happening. Herbert's 18-1. They're starting to deal with injuries now. No offensive line. Like Goff's 15-1. This is out of all like the bets that I think that I like right now. If we just briefly talk about coach of the year, because like Steichen, Vrabel, and this kind of coincides 1v1 with the MVP when you start to take a look at who is rated very highly in the coach of the year odds. Very rarely do they go hand in hand with the MVP. It's either credited to the coach or the quarterback, and that's how the voters end up voting. I think Dan Campbell at 22-1 is a play for sure. They haven't given it to him any of the point in the past 3 years when he probably could have. He had a legitimate case to win. I think he was the betting favorite in each of those 3 years, and someone got him at the end. If Detroit just finishes as the 1 seed in the NFC after losing both coordinators, he wins.
I like the rationale. I didn't think about that honestly, but I like it. I'm on board.
And it's a legitimate long shot. Like he's behind. I mean, if Kyle Shanahan can get the Niners to like 14-3, then he probably wins. But as Ryan, you pointed out, like their defense isn't coming back, and that's a problem.
Yeah. The challenge is, and I think you laid out a really good case, and maybe we reset so much on Detroit after their 1 week, curb stomping at the hands of the Packers that typically it's a award that's exceeding expectations award typically, right? More so than anything. It's just, where do we expect you to be in the preseason and where are you? And that's always been kind of the challenge with Dan Campbell in this market, but maybe it actually really, really helped him. And he kind of reset so much. And again, it is a narrative award. All these awards there's a human element to it, right? We like how you show up in press conferences. We like that we ask you questions and you're not standoffish. Belichick won this award twice. right? Like, and again, part of that is like expectations, but like we're talking about an all-time coach. Still, he's kind of down bad right now, but
he's down real
yeah,
bad right
now. It's tough. But like it is a piece where there's very much a human element in awarding these things. So I think you laid out a pretty good case, and the number's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's not so much that Dan Campbell, Connor, would have beat expectation in terms of record, because people still projected the Lions to be good, but there was just such the fear, like, can he actually do this without his coordinators? And he is. I mean, they're 4-2, so it's not like they're lighting the world on fire. But I think that if you asked anyone to, even after a loss to Kansas City last night, if you were to power rank all the teams in the NFL, they'd be 1 or 2.
Yeah, and I think part of the problem, or maybe just like thought here, is like one of these teams can just like catch fire, and like just hope that the voters remember that, because like that was like, him losing both coordinators felt like it was like a year ago, 2 years ago at this point, but it was only whatever, like 6 months ago, but leading into the season. So I just hope at the end of the season they remember that, because they need to keep winning. But I don't know, like one of these random middle tier teams, if they just catch fire, I think can also be the case. But I mean, given the odds, like just bet both. Like you don't have to bet one thing. Bet Dan Campbell now. And then if one of these teams starts catching fire, I don't know, if the Panthers somehow keep winning, I don't know what's going on there. I mean, Bryce is still playing terrible and they're still winning. And like something like that. I mean, Dave Canales 22-1. If like they randomly make a run, something like that. Like I think Brian Dable, if somehow the Giants keep winning, like that could make sense as well.
I don't think it'll be Dayball. He already won, and he was third in the odds to be first coach fired as of last week.
Yeah, I mean, probably not. I'm giving hypotheticals here. You
exceeding expectations, though, right? The expectations were so low just 2 weeks ago, and he's massively exceeded them.
I mean, he was going to get fired. It was like
look. I enjoyed that they beat Philly on Thursday night. I mean, my wallet didn't enjoy it, but it was fun to watch. Like, good for the Giants. But this is the same team that lost to the Saints 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and that's the Dave Canales thing. Yeah, I would point out is, Miami and Dallas. It's a good story, good for the Panthers, but definitely beating up on the low end of the league for sure.
Yeah, I released my newsletter this morning. It's also an article up on 4for4.com right now, and I actually had the Rico Dowdle stat in it, which you can almost 1v1 directly attribute to playing the Dolphins and Cowboys, which is kind of hilarious, like just to take a look at. Like they might ban people from playing those two teams consecutively now, because it's basically a PED for running backs, like how good running backs have done against those two teams. Let me find the Uncle Rico stat here. Okay. Rico Dowdle becomes the 6th player over the past decade with multiple 230-yard plus games. Not the 6th to do it 2 consecutive games. He is the 6th player to do it at all. So the only other players that have done that over the past 10 years just had over 230-yard games and had 2 of them: Henry, CMC, Saquon, Julio, and Jamar Chase. And now Rico Dowdle.
I mean, it's like the dragon meme, right? Like that's the Rico Dowdle is like the goofy dragon head. Or he just playing the Dolphins and the Cowboys. That makes sense. I'm interested to see what they do when Chuba Hubbard comes back and like what that looks like. I mean, you have to think that they use Dowdle a ton still, right? He's been balling.
1,000%. Yeah, you can't move off of it. You can't go to the locker room and be like, yeah, look, he played great. Let's be honest. You played Miami and Dallas. We're going to go back to Chuba full time. Like, it's not a real thing. Like, so yeah, it'll be both. It'll be probably good for them and annoying for anyone trying to, play them in fantasy or anything like that. Maybe some leverage in the prop market. We could figure it out, but good for them. It's their best chance to win, and did it without their best offensive lineman. That was a worry there too. But yeah, revenge was real.
Well, we got to talk about Monday Night Football and draft some props and recap how we did last time that we did this for the Monday Night doubleheader, and we'll get to all of that right after this. You know how much time I spend researching bets and lineups and shows and getting everything ready for you? So when it's actually time to sleep, I need it to count. That's why I switched to a Helix mattress, and honestly, game changer. I have Helix mattresses all over my house. My wife and I have one. The guest room has one. My kids have one. I got a kid on the way, and eventually they're going to have one too. Even Jared over at the studio living there, I got him a Helix mattress as well. Populated with Helix. You need to do it too. I used to wake up with a stiff back and sweats. Now I just sleep through the night. No tossing around. No, it's just comfortable and supportive. I took their quiz. I tailored it to myself, and boom, I got exactly what I needed from the mattress I deserve. I think you deserve a nice one too. So go to helixsleep.com/Mayo for 27% off an exclusive to Pat Mayo experience listeners. That's helixsleep.com/Mayo for 27% off. Make sure to enter my show name after checkout so they know I sent you. helixsleep.com/Mayo. For over a century, Johnny Walker has shared its bold spirit with the game of golf. Now, crafted with Devereaux Golf, Johnny Walker introduces the Johnny Walker Blue Label-inspired Sunday Golf Bag, elevating the game with sleek design, Blue Label hues, and refined gold accents. Celebrate your hole-in-one with a premium Sunday bag crafted audio issues here. Just nothing's coming through. Am I coming through now?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, we're back.
Christ. All right, great news. We can talk about Monday Night Football and just jump right into it then. Let's do the lines. Brought to you by coolbet.com. If you're in Canada, outside of Ontario, hit up coolbet.com right now. Hit the description. You can find the direct link to all of that. Taking a look at the games. Is there one in particular? I mean, you guys are both, in the Chicagoland area, so I guess people are very fired up to see Chicago in a nice primetime spot, even if it is the second part of the doubleheader, Connor.
Oh yeah, I mean, we got a watch party in Chicago that we're hosting too, so it's gonna be wild tonight. Everyone's excited. I think that they have somewhat of a chance to win. To be honest, shocker. I think I come on here at multiple weeks in a row, but hey, they won the last 2 games, so that's good. I think they're in a good spot. I think people in Chicago are excited. I think they have a legit chance to get a win here.
All right, well, let's take a look at the odds board up right now from sharpstack.com. 4for4.com/Mayo and code Mayo50 to get 50% off. What are the best lines week in 5? You can get the Bills at -4 at some spots. Most places have it at -4.5, 3.5, even down at some spots. Do you have a lean in this game? Because I still like Atlanta here.
I would go. I would lean Atlanta. I think that they'll keep it close, especially at home. But 4 points, 3.5. As long as you're getting over 3, I think you're in a good spot.
All right. What about you, Ryan?
It's moved a little bit. I like the Bears side of it. I don't have a great feel for the Bills Falcons game. Falcons can be feisty at home. I want to see what's going on with Dalton Kincaid. He might be out for this one. That makes me a little nervous. I think Ed Oliver gets back for Buffalo. I think that matters. So I'll probably lean taking the points at home on the Falcon side, and would lean taking the points with the Bears.
Taking the points with the Bears. It's up to 5.5 in some spots now, Connor. This opened at what, 4.5? Now it's up to 5.5. What's going on?
Yeah, it's kind of surprising. We got the Commanders, no Terry, no Noah Brown, and then you got the Bears getting back Kyler Gordon for the first time this season. TJ Edwards should be good to go. I think their run defense is probably still a problem, but their pass defense should be better. It's been really bad. So I think that's a big adjustment here when you have you used to have Deebo Samuel for the Commanders. It's just Deebo, and if the Bears get busted for 300 yards by Jaden Daniels with just Deebo, just call it a day. Scrap the roster, start looking for new guys, because that's pathetic.
Deebo's coming in with an injury as well. And it looks like Chris Rodriguez may not play. He has a calf injury, so he could be a late scratch in this game on the Washington side too. So yeah, it's a banged up, it's a gimped up Deebo, Jaden Daniels, Bill Krosky-Merritt, Jeremy McNichols, and Zach Ertz is who you're taking on.
Yeah, but the problem is the Bears defense has been bottom 3 in the league for the first 4 weeks. So against not good teams. And so I don't know. I think that Kyler Gordon could make a big impact for them, but yeah, this is certainly a big litmus test for them. I think their offense might have to carry them, to be honest. But the last time the Bears played Dan Quinn with Caleb Williams, they just blitzed him 40-something%. So kind of like week 1 when we saw from the Vikings-Bears game, Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams need to have an answer. They need to have quick outlets. They need to have quick plays, a quick option on basically every play. Otherwise, Caleb might be, I don't even know how many sacks. Noonan's probably dug into that, but 4 to 5 plus sacks might be in play if they don't have an answer early for him.
Well, last time we did this show, which was 2 weeks ago, I took last Monday off as a scheduling conflict from doing the live show. But I went 2-1 in the draft, Connor. You went 1-2. Ryan, you went 2-1 with me. And Sharp Stack app went 1 and 2 with the top bets from each of the games. So we're going to try to run this back again. Although your Darren Waller under 11.5 yards was the most hilarious bet of the year.
It felt so good. It felt so good until it turns out that Darren Waller is not a rapper. He's in fact a very fine NFL tight end. You know, his rap career has blossomed into this incredible man who's back. I mean, I shouldn't have doubted this guy. Like, if he can overcome what he already did early in his life, like, he can overcome anything. So, you know, put him on the field. I'm not betting his under ever again, to be honest.
One play is what it took to hit his over. Like the first play of the game.
You know, it's like one of those you rip the Band-Aid off quick. Like, I would prefer that over losing on the last drive. I bridge jumped some Zay Flowers stuff yesterday under 5.5 receptions, 3 catches through 3.5 quarters, 3 catches on the final drive from Snoop Hundley. What are you going to do? You know,
I forgot Snoop Hundley came into that game. Oh boy, rough go for Baltimore right now.
It's really bad. He looks better than Rush. They got to start him. He looks better than Rush.
Well, since you lost last time around, you're up first with your props.
All right, I'm going to go with Keon Coleman under 40.5 receiving yards. I think you find 39.5 in other spots as well. But I think that Keon under here is interesting, an interesting look. I think there's a chance that the Bills go really run heavy here. They don't throw as much. I think that they're going to be in, neutral to positive game script. And then also, I think the Falcons should be getting back AJ Terrell, he should see a bunch. And the Falcons have been, I mean, somewhat surprisingly, a very good defense so far this season. So yeah, I think the under 39.5, I think we're seeing there is a pretty strong look here on Keon Coleman, who it is just like the long play could get us. I think under 3.5 receptions is fine too, if you don't mind the minus 150 juice. That's probably a better look, to be honest. But I'm not sure. I think from a minus 110 standpoint-ish, I think that this is probably a better look here.
Well, using the board here, Noonan, BetMGM has an under 41.5 for about similar juice. So as we do here, we use the Sharp Stack app to find the best number. We just found it. So 41.5 is your total.
Congrats, Connor. Are you worried at all about, again, that's such a brand play too. I know Connor is not a Keon Coleman guy at all.
Sucks,
so I don't think it mattered what the number was.
He sucks.
Yeah, he'll take the shorter number and feel pretty good about it.
I'm going to go up next. As you can see at the top here, I'm trying to find BetMGM actually has the best number. There's a bit of juice, but we're not too concerned as long as it's not over minus 120. Here to play the game, I like Bijan over receiving yards. As you said, there is no Matt Milano in this game, so that the second level of the Bills defense probably, it's not very good anyway, so now it's even worse. And if they do get some pass rushers back, Ryan, that I can just see a lot of quick dump offs, and there's no Darnell Mooney in this game. So it's going to be Pitts, it's going to be Drake London, and then throwing to Bijan, which they've loved to do all year long.
It's a good pick, good strategy play. Take it off the board. I was considering this play and was actually going to do it early because I thought that might be a pick that people were looking at. So well executed strategy here, Pat. It's a good look.
Yeah, 30.5 is the number that I'm looking for right now. So that's what I'm going. Over 30.5 receiving yards for Bijan. Where would you like?
I would say for the listeners with that bet too, if I were to bet that actually outside of this, little competition we're doing, I would take like 50 plus on Bijan, right? Like I would bet into like the ceiling outcomes where he really pops one, ladder at 40, 50, 60 plus, because there's a scenario where he's more heavily involved, which I think is part of your handicap there. And there's just the game breaking ability there too, where he can just, take one and go for, 30, 40 yards. So I would take that on alt legs too, if you're looking to get down on it. All
right.
First one for me, I'm going to go with, I play this at 64.5. I think it's still fine. Seeing 66.5 out there at some spots. Roma Dunze, receiving yards over 66.5.
We're not in that game yet.
I thought we were just doing Monday Night Football in general.
No, okay, let's see. I did not specify that, so yes, you can go for it.
Okay, that's my bad.
Damn it, because I wanted Roma. I now have to take another fucking Odunze prop. Damn it. Go, yeah. What is it? Odunze what?
Receiving yards, 66.5, currently available. We've talked about like Odunze being like the man against man, and we've seen that, but we've only seen it once. He's actually played Vegas, Dallas, and Minnesota. Those are the 3 most zone-heavy teams in the league, and he's still been really good. He played one game early this season against Detroit, who plays actually less man than even Washington, and he saw 7 catches, 11 targets, and 128 yards. He's going to be, in the slot for like 40% of his snaps. Mikey Sanders still was like 5'8". So he's going to get like sunned a little bit there against Rome. Lattimore's not that guy anymore. This is a really good spot for Dunze. Love it in another spot where I think you could take some alts.
All right. So I'll have that one. So the best number that we can find right now is, what do we have here? 65.5.
Love it.
Over 65.5 receiving yards. Only one under, shockingly coming from Connor. Actually, it shouldn't be too shocking for anyone. Let's find out what they're calling the best EV play on the board. See, this is where I get into trouble with the SharpStack app, that I hate this bet. So I'm not going to bet it. It's probably going to end up winning because I'm like, oh, Washington has no one to throw to. So of course they're going to throw to Zach Ertz. But Zach Ertz under 31.5 receiving yards is the current best rated bet from either of these games. Would you guys would that one occur to you to go to that?
Yes, but no, but not because of the rationale you laid out, but maybe. I mean, he's really bad, so it's going to take him a lot of catches to get there, a lot of catching and falling down in the middle of the field. So potentially.
Just a lot.
Pat,
a lot of targets are going Ertz's way.
Pat, click that plus next to Ertz. I'd love to see where it is at other shops. Next to the event. Okay.
Let's see, 31.5, 31, 30, 29.5, 29, 29, 29, 29, 29.
Yeah. That's part of it. So if you like the over, you should be betting it somewhere else,
Yeah, there is a at Bookmaker actually. The under 27.5 is plus 106. But yeah, if you like the over, there might be some spots where you can really get it down.
Yeah, that's part of it, right? It's leveraging, sharper bookmaking books, places that are different than MGM in terms of the liquidity they'll take on the bet. So that's part of what's driving the EV in the bet compared to the other places in the market.
Well, SharpStack needs one from the other game at some point as a bonus. So we got to move to the next one. So the bonus for the Atlanta and Buffalo game. Josh Allen, this one terrifies the hell out of me too. Under 30.5 passing attempts, minus 110, Connor. That sounds right up your
alley. I
way.
looked at this actually. I thought about it. I think again, I brought it up. I think that they might go run heavy here and just try and kind of milk it here with James Cook. And if they're neutral-ish game script, I think it should go under. Now the problem is if you fall behind, you're going to get 20 Josh Allen attempts more than this. So it's a scary one, but I think in most game scenarios, the median outcome, you're going to win. So, I think it's a good look.
All right. Well, where do you want to go with the other game then, Connor?
I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels rushing prop. I think that's pretty interesting. So the over on his rushing yards right now, best odds is 42.5. Pinnacle, I think that, more realistically, you could play a 43.5 or 44.5 at a little bit lower juice. I think I like as well. Came back last week, had 8 rushing attempts, in his first week back after being, banged up. They specifically mentioned too that they did not want to bring him back unless there was going to be full Jaden Daniels. Now he gets a Bears team. The Bears played a ton of man. It's generally what we look for when we target rushing quarterbacks. And Deebo Samuel is a little bit banged up. We have, again, no real supporting cast here. So I think Jaden Daniels might have to kind of put the team on his back a little bit more here. So I'm kind of interested in some Jaden stuff. It wouldn't surprise me for him to hit a massive run here too. And be heavily involved in some design stuff. So I think the over at 42.5. And honestly, even 40, anywhere up to 45, I think I'd be pretty interested.
Yeah, I can't give you 42.5 because it goes over the minus 120 limit that we've set for ourselves here. So my over 43.5 minus 114 would be the next best number. That's under minus 120. So over 43.5 for Jaden Daniels. And look at you playing overs. Proud of you.
I'm a changed man.
Noonan, you can go next. I have to find out what this longest reception number is right now for Adunze.
My next one, another thing that I played, it's moved a little bit, but we're still getting a viable option here on DraftKings. James Cook, over 15.5 rushing attempts. There was some interesting coach speak from offensive coordinator Joe Brady, who said that they, were kind of reluctant to run against the Patriots defense. So they went away from it a little bit, but today they want to feed him early and often against the Falcons. Well, even getting away from it against New England still looked like 15 rushing attempts for James Cook. So we apparently just need one more rushing attempt. And again, in the previous 3 games, 21, 19. He did not play in the fourth quarter in that game. We're in 19 against the Jets, 22 carries. So I think it's very much a spot where he's living in that high teens to low 20s range. And we just need him to get 16 at this number. So love the spot. And, even sounds like Connor's on it a little bit here too, where he's considering the Allen attempts number under. So love the James Cook over 15.5 rushing attempts.
And that's a nice correlation to go back and forth with that. You could even, if you wanted to throw like a same game parlay together, Cook over rushing attempts, Allen under passing attempts, Josh Allen over rushing attempts as well.
Yep. I like that.
I don't think any running back has hit the over against the Patriots so far this season.
Yeah, they're good.
The run defense is very, very solid. Let's see here. So when I had this out earlier, this is a part of my cool bet boost, but of course Stafford blew that up for me. Got the first 2. Keyshawn Butte went nuts in that game, which was just fantastic. Kamara hit the under, as every running back does. So those 2 worked out really well. Stafford's longest completion was 31 yards, not 35 yards. Then I had over 21 yards for Rome Odunze, longest reception. Now it's uniformly 24.5. everywhere else. I'm still going to take it, though. I'm kind of on the same page as you of what Odunze is going to do here. And he's just going to find a soft spot somewhere and just be standing there wide open. I feel like it happens 3 times a game now, Ryan.
Yeah. And again, it's the man coverage rate too. They seem to be, gelling, and it seems to be his first read at a pretty high rate. So there's just a lot of positive drum beats on the Odunze stuff, and it's, trending up. So yeah, I like all iterations of it. There's juicy 4.5 receptions number. I like the longest look. Yeah, just a pro Odunze stuff here for sure.
So Sharp Stack is going to finish with its auxiliary pick in this draft, Connor, with Deebo Samuel, the banged up Deebo Samuel. Maybe the computer's not factoring that in, but over 6.5 rushing yards in this game against the Bears. They haven't been using him a ton, but they might have to finally rely on him at some point.
Yeah, I think it depends. Like, I think this prop is like a massive range of outcomes. Like, if Chris Rodriguez doesn't play and Deebo's healthy, he could have like 5 carries. Like, he had 3 2 weeks in a row and then 0 last week, I would assume, because he got banged up. Now, the inverse can be true. Like, if he's injured and, Chris Rodriguez is active, like, he might not see a single carry. So it's certainly one with a wide range of outcomes here.
All right, where do you want to go with your auxiliary pick?
Yeah, I mean, so it's tough because there's a couple of ones that I'm like waiting for. How widely available does this have to be? I think Chris Moore under 21.5 is only MGM and Hard Rock. But that might not be. That might not be
an underdog. Is it an underdog? Should be the tiebreaker.
Yeah, well, let me find out right now. Is this an underdog prop?
I think it is. Underdog posts a bunch of stuff.
Let's see. Underdog loves just chucking stuff out there early and being like, oh, yeah. Then it gets adjusted by 10 yards later on.
Yeah.
Got to log into Underdog now. Logged myself out so I wouldn't just keep firing plays off. Chris Moore, his higher, lower right now. Chris Moore, 21.5 receiving yards is his receiving.
Perfect. He's exactly like, and I don't know why I didn't play Jalen Tolbert's under against the Panthers, but he's going to be out there. He's going to play a lot. Just didn't see any targets. I mean, he's just not a real, like, he's an NPC. He's not like a real player. So like, he's going to be out there running, doing cardio. Legit may see 1 or 2 targets, even no one else there. I wouldn't be surprised if they like work in more Luke McCaffrey or any other guys. And I know they're a little bit different, like player wise, but I mean, Luke McCaffrey's prop is 28.5. He ran like 40% of the routes. Chris Moore's prop is 21.5. He ran like 80% of the routes. I think that should tell you plenty about, these 2 players here.
Well, that's actually where I'm going to go with my extra one, is the name that Connor just brought up. It's Luke McCaffrey, and its longest reception over 14.5. Just they are making active efforts right now. I thought it would be Jalen Lane, and they do that, but he just drops every pass thrown his way. So just with McCaffrey, they like him on these seam routes over the middle. He just kind of gets lost running around out there, and I just like him down the field in this spot, Ryan. So over 14.5 longest reception for Luke McCaffrey.
Okay, I get that. That's it's an interesting one. I have a couple.
You do not like. You don't have to say. You
No,
like
I do.
the
I do.
part of the show is that you don't. I can hear it in your
No,
voice.
I was distracted because I'm trying to decide the tiebreaker, which I installed was underdog, and the pick that I was going to play is not in underdog. So I'm partially was distracted.
Is it if it's a tackle prop, you can have.
Okay, It's a tackle prop.
Let's hear it.
Quan Martin, sometimes listed as Jatavius Martin, safety for the Commanders, over 5.5 tackles and assists. He is taking on the box role for Will Harris, who is on IR for the Commanders. Thought it was going to be Jeremy Reeves. I actually don't think Jeremy Reeves over 5.5 is a bad play either, but Reeves was like a former linebacker, definitely built more for a box heavy role. It's Quan Martin who's getting it. So really nice week last week and played like 40% of his snaps in the box. So he's there for run support. Still obviously can get a bunch of tackles in the back end in the passing game too. So 5.5 is a pretty low number for him in a spot where play volume's up. So I think that helps too for sure. So, and decent scorekeeper in Washington for the home team too. So Quan over 5.5.
All right, well, let's recap this. I went Bijan over 30.5 receiving yards, Adunze over 24.5 longest reception, and Luke McCaffrey over 14.5 longest reception. Probably should try to mix in some unders at some point, but here we are. Ryan, you got Rome Odunze over 65.5 receiving yards, James Cook over 15.5 rushing yards, and Quan Martin over 5.5 tackles and assists. Connor, you have Keon Coleman under 41.5 receiving yards, Jaden Daniels over 43.5 rushing yards, Chris Moore under 21.5 receiving yards. And the computer has spit out Zach Ertz under 31.5 receiving yards, Josh Allen under 30.5 passing attempts, and Deebo Samuel over 6.5 rushing yards. I know you guys have been keeping track of a lot of the sharp stack stuff and how the best bets have been doing. I have found that anytime it gives me an over, it's like an insta winner because it never gives overs.
It never gives overs. And so like literally it's like, I think that might've been one of the first things I told Noonan. I was like, look, if there's an over on here, it's like a legit great bet because the way the algorithms are set up is like to not give you as many overs because they don't win as much. So it's like, the unders, it just pumps those out. So yeah, we got an over on Deebo. I mean, I think you got to play it now. He's literally 5 carries for 30 yards incoming.
Yeah, it's not bad. And just to think about, like I had to sweat one out so badly, and he got there by the half yard. But the best bet when I was doing the show on Saturday was Bryce Young over 4.5 rushing yards. It was juiced to -160, and it was just one book putting it. But I was able to get some like escalators down to that level. It's like, hey, if it's saying it's the best bet, it's the best bet, even at that price. And he had an 8-yard run, I think, on the first drive of the game, but he had the 3 kneels at the end, which brought him back to 5. I was like, oh thank you for just taking a 1-yard kneel.
Sharp Sack knew, it was never in doubt.
Yeah, Neil's.
It was a tough scene with me watching it. We can't turn this game off yet. We got to watch the end of this.
I think that's how. Hopefully, you were with other people who knew, what was going on here. Because anytime someone else sees you, then when you're like yelling at a TV during kneel downs or like some completely innocuous like event that most other people are like, "What's going on here?" They know you're a degenerate. So love that.
All right, that will do it. What do you guys got going on later today?
We have our show, Move the Line at 3 p.m. Eastern. So Move the Line wherever you listen to podcasts. 4for4 Live on the YouTube channel. We also have the same time on Friday for our prop release show. So check that out. And again, take advantage of SharpStack. Free 7-day trial. Promo code Mayo 50, Pat, for 50% off your first month. You can do that after the free 7-day trial.
Yeah, and a free week. You get the free week and you get 50% off the monthly.
Yeah, and it gets access to all that we do. So it gets you into our Discord. It gets the pick package, DFS, with John, all that stuff. So yeah, take advantage, get in there. Have questions, hit us up.
Yeah, the optimizer, the sims are in there as well. There's a ton of different stuff that you can get in there, and that gets you every single thing at 4for4. Hell, if you're just a season-long player, just get the projections. The projections are great. They're in the SharpStack app as well if you want to go check them out. Smash like while you're here. Sub to the channel. I'll be back live Tuesday with Sealy and Ian for the Week 7 rankings, and you can hit the newsletter right now to find out all of the updated information, the game notes. There's just different charts in there as well. Completely free. It's up on 4for4.com as an article now too. Got something in my throat. All right.